Welcome to the 2025 OSAC Oil Spill Act Advisory Committee meeting. I'm Julie Hutcheson, the program coordinator, which I'm sure, I don't know, a few of you know. This is going to be an exciting meeting. We have a lot that's been going on, a lot of stuff to present, a lot of stuff to update on. And I want to let everyone know restrooms are down the hall to the right. The ladies have to walk further than the men. And I am going to just pass for our opening remarks and stuff to Millie Garcia-Serrano. I love tech. Slides. Yeah. Okay, great.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Julie. It's wonderful to be here this morning. I just wanted to, first of all, thank the town of Plymouth and all of its members and constituency here for sharing this beautiful space this morning. We're so grateful to present in front of you today, and we are looking forward to very robust engagement. MassDEP has so much to really celebrate this year. We started the year with a bang, celebrating 50 years of existence since back in the 70s. So that's a big thing. In Massachusetts, we still take pride and put the environment above many of our competing interests now these days. So being able to say I work for MassDEP has been really amazing, and we all join in celebrating that. In addition to that, also this year, we're celebrating 20 years of the MOSPRA program. It's hard to believe. Back in 2003, and I see some of the faces that were the ones to first get that phone call, that catastrophic phone call that basically enacted and served to create this amazing program that today we call MOSPRA. So it's just really, truly remarkable to be able to think about all of the wonderful things over the year, and in particularly a lot of great work that happened this year as well. So again, on behalf of MassDEP, we're pleased to provide some key updates to our program. So I hope that you enjoy all of them. In addition to that, also, we want to really underscore the partnership that really fuels and drives the work that we do and really serves to advance the mission that we signed up for. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for really putting the best foot out there every day and coming out with creative, innovative ways to get at the prevention and also the response component for all of the marine oil spills that we experience in our very large, vast coast from north to south. And a special thanks to our partners, harbor masters, our local communities, all of our advisory committee members. You guys do incredible work month after month, day after day, year after year. So again, it's really, truly an honor to be here today, participating and acknowledging all the amazing work. Likewise, our federal partners, especially the U.S. Coast Guard, Sector Boston, Sector Southeastern Mass, Southeastern New England, and also the U.S. EPA. Thank you to our partners. You guys are amazing, and our hat goes out for all the work you do. In addition to that, of course, private sector, associations, stakeholders, everyone that comes together again to think about innovative and creative ways to respond, to prevent and respond to marine oil spills. We couldn't do it without you. So without further ado, I'd like to recognize a number of guest speakers that we have for you today. Zach Mertz and Dr. Priya Patel from the New England Wildlife Center. And by the way, they've been recipients of our MOSPRA grants, so we want to thank you for all your spectacular work. We couldn't do it without you. And in addition to that, also, we will be, so they'll be presenting on the capabilities for responding to oiled wildlife. Likewise, John MacPherson, he is another distinguished guest speaker today. And John is with the Cape Cod Canal Operations Manager, and he is the manager at the Cape Cod Operations Center with the Army Corps of Engineers, and he's going to be presenting on the very critical canal operations monitoring and controlling the vessel traffic through, on, or around the canal. And we know how important that is because we cannot respond without real intelligence incoming to us on a minute-by-minute basis. So we are really appreciative of the support that these guest speakers provide us to our program. last but not least, we're really excited about being able to showcase our MOSPRA oil spill trailers. There's one out there in the parking lot. So MassDEP staff, thank you so much for putting together a fantastic program. And again, I look forward to engagement, getting to know you. And thank you so much on behalf of MassDEP. Julie.
Next, I am going to pass the microphone around. I'd like everyone to introduce who you are, affiliation, so we know who we are talking to.
Good morning, Steve Mahoney with MassDEP.
Good morning, Lieutenant Commander Jason Scott. I'm the Chief of Emergency Management for Sector Southeastern New England down in Woods Hole.
Morning, I'm Tom Whelan. I'm the Deputy Sector Commander for Sector Southeastern New England.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Lieutenant Commander Matt Childs. I'm the Incident Management Division Chief at Coast Guard Sector Southeastern New England.
Good morning, John DuPont, Marine Environmental.
Good morning, Elise DeCola with Nuka Research.
John Hitterham, MassDEP.
Andy Jones, MassDEP.
Joe Collins, MassDEP.
Good morning, Kathy Kiley, MassDEP Boston, Emergency Planning and Response Coordinator.
Good morning, Roger Francis, Providence Steamboat, McAllister Towing.
And good morning, Paul D. Giovanni with Rhino Transportation.
Good morning, Andy Robles, US EPA.
Good morning, Jeno Smith, Marine Liaison for Vineyard Wind.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Priya Patel, New England Wildlife Centers.
Zach Mertz, CEO of New England Wildlife Centers.
Mitchell Parazek, I work for Shellfish with the Division of Marine Fisheries.
Ryan Joyce, Division of Marine Fisheries and the Shellfish out of Gloucester.
Morning, Mike Ford, town of Duxbury.
Jake Emerson, Duxbury Harbor Master. John Parkhurst, Army Corps of Engineers.
John MacPherson, Army Corps of Engineers, Cape Cod Canal.
Patrick Smith, Marshfield Fire, Deputy Chief.
Millie, MassDEP.
Rob Butter, Chelsea Fire, Hazmat Division.
Kurt Franklin, Frank Corp Environmental Services.
Harry Ashley, Fire Chief, Freetown.
Tyler Grady, Mashpee Natural Resources.
Chris Lucier, Mashpee Natural Resources.
And Dave Walsh from Woods Hole Group.
Jennifer David, DEP, Office of General Counsel.
Chris Horvath, Plymouth Fire Department Emergency Manager. Dave Malaguti, Deputy Chief, Plymouth Fire Department.
Stephen Williams, Situate Harbor Master.
Chad Hunter, Plymouth Harbor Master.
Chris Murray, Executive Director of Northeast Marine Pilots.
Clint Walker, Northeast Pilots, Massachusetts State Pilot.
Sam Butler, Nuka Research.
Haley Griffin, Nuka Research. Liv Norton, Nuka Research.
I think it's, I mean, just to hear the variety of the level, what it was up. Yeah, I should have. Just the variety of personnel and people that we have and expertise we have in this room today is phenomenal. Are we introducing those online? Do we do that? How does that happen? Better call them out.
Jason Gillian, can you introduce yourself?
Left check.
Oh, no, I think he's unmuted. They might have
Remove the tech guy? Yeah, see if they.
The folks online just unmute themselves and they should be able to talk.
I'll give you a chance. My name's Sam Haynes. I'm with Mass Coastal Zone Management.
I'll try to. Julie, it's Chris Glottinger from Woods Hole Group. Ian Campbell, Vineyard Wind.
Mark Rasmussen, Buzzards Bay Coalition.
Lieutenant Dan Bank, Sector Boston, Incident Management.
Joseph Capello, Wellfleet Fire Chief.
Michael Kavanaugh, Wellfleet Harbor Master.
Nancy Chivetta, Wellfleet Shellfish Warden.
Steve McKenna, Coastal Management, Cape and Island Region.
Chris McGee, Dayton Fire Chief.
Britt McKibben, Coast Guard Sector Boston.
Hannah Lawrence, Board Natural Resources.
Ancha Venya Offshore.
Ready? Seth Garfield, Cuttyhunk Fire Department.
Peter Dickman, Beverly Harbor Master.
Claude Correa, Fairhaven Fire.
I unmuted.
Tim Collins, Truro Fire.
Michael Smith, Director of Emergency Management, Lynn.
Chris
Good
Miller.
morning,
everybody.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Chris Miller, Town of Brewster, Natural Resources and Harbor Master.
And good morning, everybody. Tim Vamosi, Deputy Fire Chief and Emergency Coordinator for Nantucket, and President of Mass Hazmat Association for Technicians.
Timothy Gallagher, DFS Hazmat.
Jason Gillen, Marblehead Fire Department Chief.
Good morning, Paul Fonseca, New Bedford Harbor Master, Marine Unit.
Patrick Ralston, Tisbury Fire Chief.
We're done. Excellent. Thank you. Just a quick run-through of we'll be speaking today. Most of us, a lot of us, myself, Steve Mahoney, Jim Collins from the MOSPRA program, different project updates. Again, Zach Mertz and Dr. Patel from New England Wildlife Center, John MacPherson from Canal Operations, and Elise and Sam from Nuka will also be presenting. So that's your lineup for the show. Try to keep it interesting. Quick review of the agenda. I mean, we're going to keep things rolling. Basically, Steve's going to do a little Oil Spill Act 101, get into some of the MOSPRA projects from finances to ports to trailers, etc. Review of the grant program, past and future, the geographic response strategy exercises and testing that's been done in 25 and the upcoming 26 season, and then roll into our guest presentations after that. Closing remarks, and then following a tour of a trailer outside. So we have a lot to cover. We're just going to keep it moving and keep you all extremely engaged and interested. Steve. This is on.
You're going to drop the mic.
At the end.
Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to breeze through some slides here. The first thing I want to just talk about, a little background to the OSAC, the advisory committee. It's not really a statutory obligation, but MassDEP in other programs has found great success. And so after the Oil Spill Act, we formed the committee soon after, and it's been very, very helpful. I think that probably the two longest standing members are Kirk Franklin and Mark Rasmussen. Here's the list. You know, it's kind of like the NCAA tournament. There's some automatic bids for the Coast Guard and Army Corps and pilots, Harbor Masters, of course. We have nonprofit, which is Buzzards Bay Coalition, and then the OSRO that Kirk Franklin represents. We recently added the two towing companies that provide the escorts through Buzzards Bay and the Canal, since they're such critical parts of our program. So, you know, a big thanks to everybody who's participated and shown support. And, you know, we meet once a year, and I think the only other time we did something, we had a request back, I think in 2013 or 14, for money from Massport to provide fendering for a Chelsea Creek Bridge. And we convened the OSAC. And to discuss that, we agreed, the OSAC agreed to fund it, but ultimately Massport had found another revenue source. So kind of in light of that, and to increase the engagement beyond once a year, we're thinking of having a virtual coffee hour. We're going to start out on a quarterly basis to see how it goes. But I think it'll just increase the ability for OSAC to give feedback. It'll be a little bit more intimate setting. We can talk maybe more project specifics or some goals that we might have and how we might be able to reach that. So please keep an eye out. In the new year, we'll be sending emails and links for that. I guess after COVID, that's one of the great advantages. We can meet remotely, but then we have more meetings. So we don't want to overburden people with meetings, but we definitely want to get the engagement and, input on what we're doing, for the MOSPRA program. So keep an eye out for that. And just some quick updates on my end. So here's the trust fund revenue. Back in 2017, the fund was moved into all Bitcoin. No, it was moved. It was moved into an interest-bearing account, and we probably collect from the fee probably 3.1 to 3.4 million. So you can see in the revenue in fiscal year 25, the interest is really added up. I looked this morning because I knew this would probably be a question. We have about 46 million in the fund. Back in, I think around 2017, Nuka did a study as to how much would we need in reserve. So, and that with escalation, that's probably getting close to $30 million if we had a major spill to meet the obligations under the statute. So, so that just puts it a little bit in perspective. Here's the spending. Spending's kind of up and down based on, we have some different ports projects that Jim Collins is going to speak about. We have the grant program. So that's the main fluctuation. This coming year, we're buying some more trailers to replace trailers that were bought back in 2007. So that kind of gives you a fluctuation. I just want to give you an idea of expenditures in fiscal year 25. So MassDEP staff, trailer maintenance, which is done by Moran Environmental, GRPA exercise, or GRS exercises. That's the old name, I guess, by Nuka. Other contractor expenses, whether it's helping with this meeting. So we have a contract, a master agreement where we can access contractors, and the two contractors on that one are Nuka, Research and Planning, and the Woods Hole Group. Both phenomenal contractors, can't say enough about them. We also have access to our emergency response contractors, and Moran has won the bid for trailer maintenance a couple of times, but we've also had Frank Corp and Clean Harbors involved in some exercises. So one of our, I was in a training recently, and in one of our Nero ER people kept saying that that's our, in BWSC, that's our superpower. We can hire contractors. Now, not a thrilling superpower. Marvel hasn't contacted us, but it is, it is a good thing that we can get contractors, whether it's a spill or in this case, a lot of policy and training type things. So ports, we fund a little bit of the Narragansett ports. Most of it's funded by Rhode Island. Then we have the Cape Cod Buzzard Bay ports, and we're looking at the Boston ports, which you're going to hear a little bit more, and recent grants. We funded a lot of grants in fiscal year 25. And we're hoping to go out with some more grants soon. And just a quick update on the escort program. It's always kind of interesting to look at the numbers. So the last column is 2025. So we still have the last quarter. So if you rough estimate, we're going to probably be about 475 units through. So, you can look across, that's, 2011. But the barrels will change as well. Just, you can see we're already up at 28 million barrels. And so, you can think we're going to be above, a lot of years just on the barrels alone. So, we saw the big dip on with the COVID. and not as much demand, and now we're seeing a real rebound. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And I just do want to give a shout out to McAllister and Reinauer for they do a great job in the escorts and their reporting. So we really appreciate that partnership. And I'll turn it over to Jim Collins.
Morning. I'm going to talk about ports or physical oceanographic real-time systems. So ports are aids to navigation, and they are set up with a partnership with NOAA and Syracuse. We have 5-year contracts in place for the different ports regions with NOAA, and it provides real-time publicly available information to mariners that they can access through websites, and there's a link provided below. The picture there is a picture of a port's buoy being deployed, and Julie Hutcheson and Steve Mahoney from MassDEP are in the picture. Okay, the locations of ports. We have 2 active area ports right now, and we're going to add an additional area soon. We have the Cape Cod Buzzards Bay ports. It consists of a Buzzards Bay buoy, which was deployed in 2022, a Cape Cod Canal West End current meter, and a Cape Cod Bay buoy deployed in 2016. Now, Gatsit ports, as Steve mentioned, it's mainly in Rhode Island, but we do fund the Fall River sensors. And those sensors include a MET station that includes visibility, wind speed, wind direction, water temperature. And we're currently developing Boston Harbor ports. We've done permitting and we've started installation. Okay, this figure just shows the location of the Buzzards Bay ports. There's the buoy in Cape Cod Bay and wave buoy in Buzzards Bay. Those are 2 wave buoys. They give you wave height, frequency, water temperature, wave direction. I think it also gives air temperature. The meter, the current meter, is at the Mass Military Academy in Cape Cod Canal in the West End that provides current speed and direction. It's not shown here, but Fall River, the sensors are there up in Fall River. They're right outside the harbor. Again, as I mentioned, there's a MET station there, and also some visibility and air information. This figure shows the Boston ports locations that we're currently developing. This shows Boston Harbor. The star on the right there entering the harbor, that's the Massport Conley Terminal, where the big merchant ships typically dock. And we're going to install a MET station there and a current meter. And the other stars on the Tobin Memorial Bridge, where we hope to install an air gap sensor, but that's completely up to MassDOT. So part of the port system is maintaining the buoys and sensors. Twice a year, all the sensors and buoys are visited for maintenance. The maintenance is typically done by Woods Hole Group. They do a fantastic job. Usually the first visit each year, the dive team is used to clean and inspect the buoy and look for corrosion and damage and replace any parts that are damaged. Once a year, they'll lift the buoy out of the water and inspect it on the ship. And again, clean it and repair any damage that there might be to the buoy. Occasionally, an unscheduled service is needed for the buoys. For instance, last year, there was a buoy that became untethered. And so they had to go locate the buoy, pull it out of the water, figure out why it became untethered, clean it, and put it back in service. And Woods Hole Group was actually able to do that in 17 hours, which I thought was quite impressive. Okay, Boston Harbor ports. So as I mentioned, we're establishing ports in Boston Harbor. By any measure, that's long overdue. We were approached by Boston docking pilots and Boston pilots to try to get the port system in place. The port system's hopefully going to consist of 3 navigational aids, a MET station, and a current meter at the Conley Terminal, and if approved by MassDOT, an air gap sensor on the Tobin Memorial Bridge. It's been supported by US Coast Guard, Massport, MassDOT, that strongly by the pilots who push this real hard. So we have a lot of support from all the stakeholders that can use this information. The picture there just shows a large ship coming into Boston Harbor. You know, the ships keep getting bigger and bigger, and it just makes having a system like ports in Boston Harbor even more important. So for the Boston Port System, we're currently in the installation phase. We started the installation at the Conley terminal. We've got some base plates in. Prior to the installation, we had to get permits from Massport and also from the FAA. We're using a barge crane, and we're also installing a mast. Both of those structures required FAA to approve the installation before we started, so that took some time. The waterside crane installation is currently being scheduled, and we hope to get the equipment in at the Conley terminal either late this year or early next year. Here's some photos of some of the equipment being installed. On the left is an anemometer. There's actually two of them. The one on the right side that looks kind of like an airplane is a physical anemometer. It has a rotating cups. And the one on the left is, I believe it's a sonic anemometer. The picture in the middle is a current meter or side looker. And the picture on the right, that's a panel that's going to be used to log the data that the sensors are going to collect. Next slide, the slide on the left is an I-beam that's going to be attached to the pier with those brackets on the right. Those brackets were manufactured specifically for that I-beam. So that's going to be installed soon in the upcoming months. And then the current meter is going to actually be attached to that I-beam below water. That's how they get the current measurements. And we're going to power the system with those solar panels shown in the picture there. As I mentioned, we also want to install an air gap sensor on Toba Memorial Bridge. We've submitted a permit application to MassDOT. They have reviewed it, did a preliminary review of it. They asked for some more information, such as wind loading and wind calculations and loading on the bridge. So we've provided that, and we're gonna, and now we have to wait for additional approval from them. Putting that air gap sensor on the bridge is obviously totally dependent on DOT approval, but at this stage, they look pretty favorable on that installation. If we can install it, it should be installed by early next year. Trailers, Julie.
Thank you. Yep. One thing about the Boston ports and the whole air gap system and stuff, people, you know, I know I start talking about this stuff to people because I find what we all do very, very exciting, and there's a lot of good stuff that we have accomplished. But an air gap, I mean, you have water and you have a bridge and you have air, and are you going to fit? That's what it's about. And that doesn't exist just kind of overwhelmed me that, you know, sea level rise, different issues. The sign may say you have 26 feet and 3 inches. Well, maybe you don't nowadays, you know, and everything's getting bigger, everything's getting older. And just the simplicity of that not already being in place just still dumbfounds me. So DOT, yeah, we're going to get that air gap sensor. That is happening. Yeah, I can't retire until all some of this stuff is done. Trailers. There we go. We have one of the things when, I mean, I responded to the Bouchard when it happened. We were all standing on the beach and we're all standing there and everyone's looking at the oil slopping ashore and everyone's like, hey, what are you doing? We're waiting for contractors because we have nothing. We have no plans. We have no equipment. We have nothing. So now we have taken care of a lot of those holes. 70 coastal communities. We have 81 oil spill trailers staged in 81 communities. One of them is here today, so everyone's going to get a look at it. Each trailer has 1,000 feet of boom in it. The state still owns it. The town agrees to take care of it, be nice to it, look at it every now and then. We'd like the doors to be open. We do have an ongoing inspection program with Marine Environmental. John's our trailer guy. He would like to do that 40 hours a week, but he has to do other things too. You know, we asked the towns, open the door, look at it. We've had, you know, roof vents, we have mice, we have different issues, and they need to be ready to go. I wasn't going to say it, but they need to be ready to roll. And that's my big mantra. Besides these trailers, we also have 36-inch boom at Mass Maritime and at State Pier in Connex boxes for bigger offshore events. And we also have some larger material down at Joint Base Cape Cod that you'll hear about. Each trailer has 1,000 feet, ancillary equipment, anchors, buoys, life vests, everything, also absorbents, pads, speedy dry, culvert plugs, etc. Interior of the trailer there, and then also the boom. You know, we do restock it, we maintain it. If the towns have a spill, it's like, use it. It's not like you need permission, get it out. If there's a car accident, there's speedy dry in it, use it, call us, let us know, coordinate with emergency response per regs, per regular protocol, but get it out and use it. Because they're all sitting basically in marine environments, wear and tear and rust is a problem. We have ongoing issues with rust sitting, the doors, mice are another huge problem. These are pictures of the New Bedford trailer, which is one of the busiest that we have in the state. And one of the, you know, you'll see our priority to get replaced. That's the roof, the frame. The ones that we are replacing now, we're going to aluminum frames because that makes sense in the marine environments. Again, a lot of times, you know, John will report, it's like, well, where was the trailer? There is a list of where the trailers are. So if I wanted to call a contractor and say, go get the trailer in X location, we're supposed to know where that is. And some of them have been kind of moved. Like John's like, hey, I can't find the Fall River trailer. You know, it's like where to go kind of thing. And this is sometimes what we find, which, you know, not acceptable. We have to, you know, the principal, you have to get called to the principal's office. And, you know, they need to be ready to activate. I mean, it's luckily not that often, but when it is, we need to be ready to pull it in, you know, pull it out of the parking lot and roll it. And that, you know, that's a ongoing challenge and that we ask for everyone's help for. So if you're in a town that's on the coast, go find the trailer and give me a call. This was an unfortunate, we have some inland trailers that were separate, but this went unreported for a considerable amount of time. And basically what was in the trailer was also lost because of the damage to it. And it's just the idea of someone has to call, make a phone call. We had to find another trailer to, you know, make sure that they still had one, but, you know, total loss. And that, I'm not, you know, yeah, where it was stored was an issue. In replacing, we have our priority list that we had come up with, but we have 5 that are being replaced now. We've contracted. Moran Environmental will get the 5 trailers that have been ordered, hopefully within, you know, 4 to 6 weeks. Work out with the shelving, the interior things, all the equipment in the existing trailers will go into the new trailer. They'll be labeled up nice and pretty with all the names and the states and the towns, and hopefully delivered in early January. So these are the 5 priorities: P-Town, Falmouth, Marshfield, New Bedford, and Wellfleet. And then the others, you know, we're just gonna have to keep going. And as I said, improvements to the aluminum frames versus metal, the things, the rust, we're getting rid of the roof vents, you know, just learning as we go. But it's an ongoing challenge, but we're really, we're dedicated. One thing that we learned in the sense of even talking today and working with Chad and others to get the trailer here for today's show was that the Plymouth trailer is kept about a half hour away. And it's like, that's not too cool. If we're here at the shoreline and the trailer is a half hour away, that's so that's a follow-up to today's meeting of let's find somewhere closer to the water to put the Plymouth trailer. But it's just, you know, ongoing. Also, we have a foam filled boom that we acquired from the Coast Guard for free, staged at Joint Base Cape Cod. We have 6 flatbed trailers. Each box has 500 feet in it. And this year we just did tire replacement on the trailers and some deck work and airbags to make them basically ready, you know, ready to roll. The boom inside is brand new. The boxes don't look too good. They're peeling, but they're airtight. They're aluminum, so they're in good shape. But now they have new sneakers, new airbags. John towed them all around the base, and they're happy. But again, a resource that, we have to do some more planning and stuff for future. It was going to be disposed of by the Coast Guard after Deepwater Horizon. So we said, hey, we'll take it for free, and we have an agreement to store it. So there it is. And stay tuned. I'm going to pass it over to Elise. Elise is going to talk about oil spill preparedness, the changing climate, and how it all works. I know.
Everything I know. No, actually, I'm done. Thank you, Julie. So if you've been at past meetings, we've been talking about another ongoing project that is fairly new to the MOSPRA program over the last 5 or 6 years, where we've been responding to directives at the state and previously federal levels to kind of incorporate climate change into a lot of different aspects of work. And so for the MOSPRA program, which is focused on oil spill response, we've been sort of trying to understand what that work might look like and what we should be thinking of or doing differently or considering we may need to do differently in the future. So I've, like I said, spoken about past work. We did a 3 or 4 year project with a couple of reports and some workshops. And we're now, we're kind of doing this continuously updated literature review and kind of high level threat analysis that kind of looks at both how things might be changing statewide in terms of spill risks, spill preparedness. And we're also looking at and kind of tracking a lot of the work that's happening in other sectors within the state that kind of relate to climate, climate hazard assessment, climate adaptation, and decarbonization, and essentially trying to look for ways to make sure that the MOSPRA program is tracking with these larger kind of projects and initiatives. And one of the things that's very obvious through the MOSPRA program and a lot of things in the Commonwealth are that we're just so very locally driven. And so since there's lots of locally driven climate adaptation and hazard preparedness work going on in other sectors, we're just trying to make sure that the work that we're doing on the coast for oil spill preparedness is linked in. So we have a draft report that is still in internal review within MassDEP, but should be out and about fairly soon, I would think by the end of the calendar. That will certainly circulate and make available on the MassDEP website. But we kind of look at some of the things that have been updated and kind of how things, how some of the climate adaptation goals and programs have changed and continue to progress in Massachusetts. And so a number of kind of different initiatives there. But as I said, primarily what we're interested in is the MOSPRA program itself and how we can incorporate and support and understand what communities are doing for climate adaptation and make sure that the work that's been done for all of the oil spill planning, the development of geographic response strategies is up to date and meshed in with what's happening in communities. So we've been working, we're starting to work with the Woods Hole Group, who has some amazing capability to look at models and different future models for things like inundation, storm surge, hurricane severity, and looking at our GRS sites and how we might change or adapt the GRS plans themselves or the logistical plans that support them for things like roadway flooding, et cetera. So we'll be starting to do a little bit more analytic work with Woods Hole Group to kind of look at across the state, see all the GRSs there on the left-hand side, and consider whether any of them might need tweaking based on changes in the coast. As Sam will be talking later about the GRS First Responder Training and Exercise Program, I'm guessing many of you in the room have been to an exercise or two over the years. Just starting to incorporate talking about climate in those workshops in the sense of like, have you had recent storms? What's changed? Is there anything, again, that we can do within this program to stay up to date with that? And then Steve showed some data earlier about transportation of oil through the canal. But there's also really good data that the state keeps on incoming oil imports there's a really good reason they do that, and it's because it drives some of the funding for this program through revenue. So we've been looking periodically at the data on what's coming into the state to see if there's changes. Like, are we seeing less home heating oil as people are, as the uptake of heat pumps? Are we seeing other changes? So it's a nice kind of iterative component to the MOSPRA program that is touching, kind of spanning from prevention to risk analysis to preparedness to response. We've also been trying to continue outreach. So every year at this meeting, we're kind of updating on the program, but we're trying to look for other places to take the work and to maybe start working more at a local level with communities that might be interested. So back in June, there was a Sea Grant workshop in Nantucket, the Nantucket Coastal Conference, that Julie and Steve both attended, correct? Mm-hmm. And gave this poster, which you can't read, but it's in the back of the room. Just to kind of get the information out that we're doing this work and to, kind of let people that are working in that community, climate readiness and resilience level, know that this work is going on and identify opportunities for future collaboration. And that's kind of what I wanted to leave you with here today, which is that as we've been compiling information, we did a high-level statewide workshop a couple years ago. We're looking to start to engage more at the direct town or city level with communities that are interested in, kind of maybe exploring some of this more. Maybe it's alternative marine fuels, that are coming in or starting to come in to different ports. So lots of opportunity to kind of collaborate with communities and others and other partners on this in the future. And I would say that, Julie's here, I'm here. Reach out to MassDEP or to us at Nuka if you have an upcoming training exercise. We'll be in touch with your fire and harbor departments. But we are putting together some sort of smaller focused workshops that we can bring to communities that are interested. I think that wraps that up. Thank you.
He's back. Yep, back. I'm going to talk about the MOSPRA grant program. So we've had 2 rounds of MOSPRA grants so far, one in 2021 and one in fiscal year 25, which just ended. The fiscal year just ended. The 2021 grants were 9 grants for $214,000. The fiscal year 25 grants were 15 grants for $691,000. We're going to have another round of grants that we're going to announce either later this year or early next year, and request applications sometime early next year. Grants are available to local governments, nonprofits, academia, et cetera. We don't really exclude anyone, but they must benefit coastal communities and advance the goals of MOSPRA. So, talk briefly about the MOSPRA grants that we gave out in 2021. There were 9 grants. We gave a grant out to New England Wildlife Center for training and field kits, Plymouth Harbor Master for a new waste oil tank, Situate Fire Department got a couple grants for drones and flare cameras. Marion Fire Department also got 2 grants for drone and oil spill preparedness plan. Fall River Fire Department got some spill response training. Mass Maritime Academy on an aquatic vegetation sensor, and City of Everett had a grant for 3 optical oil detection sensors in the Mystic River. Now I'm going to talk about the grants we gave out last year. Some of them are still ongoing, and some got an extension. So the first grant, Barnstable Fire Department, they got a flare camera. The USS Massachusetts Memorial Committee, they put in a grant to survey and remove oil from the USS Kennedy in Fall River. New England Wildlife Center, they're going to talk later, but they got a grant for training and response kits. They'll probably tell you more about that. Boston Harbor Docking Pilots and the Boston Harbor Pilot Association, they kind of put in the same grant. They asked for handheld navigational equipment. I'm going to talk a little more about that in a minute. Buzzards Bay Coalition put in a grant for New Bedford Harbor eval dockside builds pump out, which is ongoing. Saugus River Watershed, put in a grant for spill response plans and training. I'm going to talk about that more in a second. And Lynn Fire Department and Plymouth Fire Department put in for drones. Warren Fire Department, Fire Department, Fall River Fire Department, all put in for spill response training. The Bourne Fire Department also had drone training. Hingham Fire Department had drone training, infrared camera. Lynn Fire Department, Salisbury Fire Department also had either drone mapping project or drone and drone pilot training. So there's a lot of drones included in those grants. So the status of the grants that we gave out last fiscal year, there were 1-year grants, all of them. 11 grants have been completed to date. 1 is ongoing. It's going to wrap up in December. And there's 3 that requested a 1-year extension, which we gave all 3 extensions out because they had a valid reason for needing more time. So I'm going to highlight 2 of the grants. So this grant was to the pilot associations in Boston Harbor, the Boston Docking Pilots and the Boston Pilots. And they had asked for precision navigational equipment that they could use, handheld equipment that they could use while conning a ship. And I spoke to them yesterday and they told me that this equipment is used by every pilot on every ship that they bring into the harbor. It was a vast improvement from the equipment they had previously. They had some equipment, but it was a little bit outdated. This equipment's much more advanced. It can tie in with the ship's navigation system. It can also tie in with the port system once it's operational in Boston Harbor. And it's really helped them in conning the ships into harbor. So I think it was money well spent for the Commonwealth of Mass. See some pictures on the right to show some of the equipment. That the big thing is it's real time. They can look at this laptop and look out where they're going and dock the ship safely and really get some more accurate information than what they had before. The next grant talk about real quick is the Saugus River Watershed Council grant. They're developing site-specific spill response plans, determining how spills could be prevented in the Pine River and Saugus River, and collaborating with the Coast Guard on where they can place some more navigational aids in the Pine and Saugus River. I guess some upstream portions of those rivers could use more aids to navigation, at least in their opinion. They're trying to work with the Coast Guard to make that happen. So we're going to come out with another grant, as I mentioned before, late this year, early next year. We're going to make the announcement. The grants need to be related to the MOSPRA program, but the relationship can be indirect, as you've seen from some of the grants that we've given out before. We expect to award over $1 million in grants, hopefully. And again, we're going to announce the grants hopefully this fall or early next, either this fall or early next year at the latest. We're going to require submittals sometime early next year and issue the grants in 2026. Prior to posting the grants and combines, we're going to do some outreach to coastal communities and anyone who we think might be interested in the grants, just to get the word out there. Any questions in the grants, please feel free to contact myself, Julie, or Steve. Our email addresses are given there. And that's it for me. Julie, you're up.
Thank you, Jim. Docking pilots, how is the equipment?
Well, that's not us.
Oh, that's not you. I'm sorry.
You'll be getting a grant from us though.
Are you going to get the same equipment or are you going to go? But
we actually have pretty much the same stuff right now. And ours at this time is funded by the state of Rhode Island, but we're ready for a 5-year update.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Excellent. No, the grants are, I mean, people, the creativity. I mean, we met New England Wildlife Center by them reaching out to us and saying, hey, this is what we want to do. And then, with the training and response kits and the way that has just blown. So if anyone has ideas or anything for grants, just, shout out and let us know. Okay, we're going to move on to geographic response strategy program. We should have called this slide the geographic response strategy, first responder testing, and whatever exercise we call it. We've had as I said, when the Bouchard happened, we didn't have all that we have in place now. We now have 3,056 first responders trained in the 17 years that we've been doing these trainings. I mean, that's 3,000 people that now know and have, deployed boom and played with the trailers and know what a GRS is and know what this is and have actually done it. We've had 118 exercises, and the 160 GRSs, they used to be called GRPs, if anyone, it was a plan, now it's a strategy. 160 of them, and you'll see in the box below, 776 of 560 tactics. We have 160 GRS strategies. Each strategy has multiple tactics. So those 560 are within that 160 tactics. That gets, a lot of numbers. A lot of them are larger tactics. They're not made for first responders. They would not be doing them. So some of the exercises that we do are not always testing an actual GRS or a tactic. It may be just containing a vessel, doing different things that help the towns be prepared. You'll see the photos, the drone footage, and Jim mentioned, when we started with the grants, all of a sudden, drones just started going crazy. And we're like, whoa, we don't want to become the drone program. But you see the applicability. Now there's issues we'll deal with on that future. But we see how they're being applied at the exercises and even on spills. And you can see in other photos, the vision that you have. Oh, let me go back. I mean, you see these are being transmitted from the field to buildings and people remotely, and you're seeing real live 3D imagery. I mean, it's like you're there, and the value of that knowledge and that capability is enormous. But we understand it has to be controlled. This was the 2025 exercise. We do 10 a year, 5 in the spring, 5 in the fall. Nobody wants to see us in the summer. They're busy. Each town is on about a 3-year rotation schedule that's been established. We started last year in Plymouth. Marvelous. Sorry, I'm not quite highlighting you guys today, but we're here. One of the things that we have fun with is there's a lot of, we always invite at the time of planning, invite the select person, invite the local press, invite the town manager, invite whoever you need to know that the fire departments, the harbor masters have this equipment, they're doing this training. It's spread the word, let people know that this is happening. Some great coverage that we've seen online from the exercises. The one on the other side, on the far left there is Rowley and Ipswich, then Master Mills and Calm in the middle, and then the one from Mattapoisett and Marion. That was a lot of fun. I mean, it's good knowledge, and it's good to see it getting exposure. A couple exercises just to kind of showcase. The exercises start out with an initial planning meeting, which we have kept in person because there's better communication, there's better coordination, there's a lot of who, what, when, where, how, when are we going to do it, what are we going to do, where we, it's a lot of the rubber hits the road is the first planning meeting. And then we follow up with a final planning meeting, which is usually virtual, just to make sure all the ducks are in a row. And then, that's about a week before the visit, the exercise. Last year, not this year, but last year, we did 3 in 1 week, and we're never going to do that again because none of us by the 3rd knew where we were. All of a sudden you're like, did I say this already? Because it's like, you're just go, 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 go. And after a while, it was like, okay, we've got to spread it out a little to make sure that the planning crossover and whatever is happening, that we keep it all straight. But usually, fire departments, harbor masters, Coast Guard, shellfish. We've had a lot of marine fishery. We'd love to see the Coast Guard like Massport. This was a fantastic one in Boston, Winthrop, Massport. I'm more from the Southeast region for my ER experience and all this stuff. So you put us in Boston with all these other, and it's just the potential and the what ifs are overwhelming. It can just be crazy. And to be able to partner and work one-on-one with these folks is a crazy. Fairhaven, New Bedford, Acushnet. Our big, one of our biggest congested areas down in the Southeast region. Somerset joined us in that one, sector Southeast New England. New Bedford, Fairhaven, fantastic response, fantastic, continued support for the program. And as you'll see in the top photo, their command post station, their mobile command post, and the ability to operate out of that and communicate. And then also the drone operations and just the visuals that can be shared of towing. The exercises, I mean, it's, you've got a lot of heavy equipment, you've got a lot of, boom, anchors, line, buoys, slips, trips, falls, whatever, you're on the water, you're putting things together. We do it rain or shine it can end when it's not safe, but it's, there's a lot, there's on water, on land, trailer side, there's a lot of operations going on. So it's pretty intense. The last one of the season was October 29th over in Falmouth and Mashpee. I added up when we do the ICS, it's all run by ICS, Instant Command Structure. The board is done. The ICS 201 board is done, dry erase board that we bring with us so that an incident commander is set, a safety officer is chosen, and those two are basically assigning everybody that's at that exercise a task. So everybody knows if you're on a shore team, a boat team, where you are, what you're doing, everyone is called for. And it's a go. It's not charge. Let's do it. Calm, controlled, safe. But we had 6 different vessels at this exercise. That's a lot of on-water sources, a lot of 6 vessels moving and towing and, bringing boom in and out, connecting, etc. And I added the board just to show that, there's a lot to it. It's not, nothing that happens fast. This one took longer. We had a great, even from the classroom, there's a classroom session that we get through some of the stuff, trailer familiarization, and then deployment. And even the number of questions and ideas at the classroom, I mean, it was just the interest level was set. The day went longer than planned. It started to rain. Everybody still stayed, rinsed the boom, put things away. You have to put the equipment back in the trailer, hot wash, etc. And it's really good. Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute participated in this one, the Marine Biological Lab. I mean, you look at the potentials of what can happen in that area with the ferries, the steamship don't get in our way and all this stuff. And this was we contained the water intake for, I think it was the lab, but it was, excellent way to end our season. 2026, these are the 10 exercises that'll be happening in 26. 3 are in the North Shore, 7 are down in the South. It just happens that there are more plans in the South because it's the South. Anyone, we'll start planning, April, October, that's, when we start. So we'll be doing these. So let us know. You want to come? Sam, you get to talk about.
Hey, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So I see that you have it all planned out for next year. In Wellfleet, we have a newer crew of harbor master folks. Is there a way we could request to have that exercise done here in the near future?
Sure, you can send me an email. Sure.
Okay. Okay.
We try to accommodate and see what we can do, and yeah, sure. Send me a message.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sam gets to talk.
Thank you, Julie. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about an effort that we undertook this spring, really trying to incorporate some new drone footage into our existing first responder and geographic response strategy training program. As Julie mentioned, this program has been ongoing for 17 years. Which is quite a long time. We've trained, as she said, also just over 3,000 first responders in that period of time. And in those 17 years, the material and the training itself has gone through several different evolutions. We always kind of look to continue to improve the materials that we provide on those days. One of those kind of efforts to evolutionize or modify the training is this stage deployment back again, actually in the summer of this year. We went down, MassDEP, Nuka, and Moran Environmental went down to Fall River. We put a few drones up in the air. We had kind of a set game plan for some tactics that we'd like to deploy. And we did a very kind of slow and diligent process of working through the core concepts of spill response, taking pictures, plenty of drone footage as well, really to kind of capture some of those best practices and hopefully with the idea of incorporating that into future classroom and training materials. So all in all, it was a really fun day. We captured, I think, 250 photos and like 50 or 60 different drone videos. So a lot of content came out of that. And over the next few months, we're going to be spending some time both incorporating that into some of our existing training materials and also using that to kind of revamp the training program as well. Here's just a few snapshots of some of those photos. A lot of the MER folks hard at work here. We have on the top just some photos of them kind of configuring a containment array. And then on the bottom, a diversion array as well. And throughout this process, we paused several times and kind of talked through some adjustments, some best practices, and documented those as well. I do want to show a couple of quick drone videos from that process. We've incorporated these into our classroom training already. And these videos, they are sped up just for the sake of time, but really kind of give you a good sense of some of the core steps of, as you'll see here, marine anchoring. And then in the following videos, adjusting those marine anchors with trip line and buoy. And then we also practice some things that maybe might not go as well, and kind of showing those what not to do type of things during our training as well. And so, as I said, this is practicing kind of setting that marine anchor. And so as I press play, they're using this boat hook here. They're going to grab the bottom of the boom. Eventually, they'll kind of move in reverse and kind of pay out that line. As that line starts to gain some tension, they'll eventually drop that marine anchor to set that boom leg in place.
We get music, sir.
Yeah, we might. So, you know, folks in the room may be more visual learners. This is just another kind of supplemental content to kind of improve the learning process, and I think it's been well received so far. So we're really looking forward to kind of the version 2 of what this could become. And just a couple more videos here. This is just a short video of using the trip line and buoy to adjust the marine anchor in the event that we've deployed boom and maybe we realize the current is too strong and we need to make some adjustments. And so you'll see, again, they're using that boat hook to grab that trip buoy, tie it off to a cleat here. They're going to reverse tow. Eventually, the camera is going to kind of pan to the side, and you'll see as the boat moves to the right. I got ahead of myself here. Yeah, as the boat moves to the right, you'll start to see that leg of boom start to move with it. And so just kind of shows, in this specific example, the benefit of using a trip line and buoy. And then lastly, as I mentioned, we did capture some things of kind of what not to do in the field. In this video, you'll see John, who's here in the front room.
Sorry, John.
Right here. He's going to actually do something correctly. He's going to use this heaving line and ball combination to toss the boom off to an awaiting vessel, which is just off screen here. That vessel is going to receive the heaving line and ball, and then you'll see what they do next. So Alex here is actually tying that heaving line to the cleat on the vessel. What he ideally should have done is remove that heaving line as he received it, and then just replaced it with that yellow poly line. You can kind of see some of the poly line on the deck of the boat there. That line is actually rated for tow, so it's a safer use of equipment. So we do show that in our training as well, and it's fun to see our first responders kind of figure out, you know, as they watch this video, kind of what's happening here. All right, that's it. I'll pass off to New England Wildlife Center.
Thanks, Sam. Zach. Yes, thank you. We're doing great for time, so take your time.
Yeah, I had a lot of coffee. I'll do my best.
But let me, Zach, Dr. Priya, Patel.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really excited to be here. Again, my name is Zach Mertz. I'm the CEO of the New England Wildlife Centers. My colleague, she's our Chief Wildlife Medical Director, Dr. Priya Patel. And I just want to start by thanking DEP, state partners, federal partners, for everything they have helped our program accomplish over the last couple of years. It's been a pleasure to work with a lot of the folks in this room, pleasure to meet some new friends even this morning, and just really excited about where the program has taken us so far, but also what our plans are for the future. So, as you heard from Jim, we received 2 grants to date. The most recent, I'll go over the objectives, but I just want to give you a little bit of the genesis of how it came about. So we're a 40-year-old organization here in Massachusetts. We're small, we're a nonprofit. We are a veterinary medical resource for sick, injured, orphan wildlife and an education center, things like that. 9 years ago, we took over the Cape Wildlife Center, which is down in Barnstable. Both are very coastal. And, you know, as we built up our medical capabilities and grew a little bit, we were getting more and more oiled birds. And whether it be from small spills, mystery spills, we got like 50 seagulls from a cooking oil mishap that happened. What we were finding is that it was something we needed to improve on and build our resources, but also there just wasn't a huge network of rehabbers in Massachusetts or a lot of willing resources from the veterinary side that wanted to help, because, you know, taking an injured oiled bird, it's a big commitment. It's not just washing it and setting it free. It can be a 40, 50-day commitment in some places. And we were so lucky that Yarmouth Natural Resources said, hey, you should talk to Julie. And we did. And since then, it has really just sort of catalyzed our program and help us grow and help us evolve, not just as a resource, but evolve with DEP and with other state partners and with towns, and sort of integrate our priorities. And so that's been awesome. By the way, we did our first GRS training here in Plymouth. Sam's video made that look really easy. It was really hard, but we did contain the heck out of that fake moth. So I just say that. So quickly, the most recent grant we got was for $75,000. It was an integrated approach, right? We're trying to grow a program organically. We're trying to grow our capabilities at the same time we're growing the responder network. So there was a lot of different objectives involved, but we're happy to say it's worked out really well. So this one was heavily training focused. The first grant we got in 2021 was awesome. We designed an oil spill program. We did a bunch of research, talked to partners around the country, and came up with a CE certified program for first responders. I think we had about 50 students in the first 2 sessions, some of which are in the room, but it's everything from natural resource officers, animal control officers, environmental police officers, some folks from the DEP came and attended. And it just sort of helped us start this network and get sort of integrate with a lot of the stuff that Nuka research we learned in your class, and not repeat it, but integrate what a wildlife response looks like on top of that information as well. So it goes over everything from like the laws and regs to safety and zoonotic diseases and field capture, yeah, all that kind of stuff. So that was a big part of it. This year, we got really good response. We decided we'd hold some more sessions of that. We also designed a hands-on lab. So we got some repeat folks that had been to the first one, or took another session this year. They came in, they got sort of the high-level overview, the structure, and then we actually got our hands dirty and watched some simulated oiled birds, which was a really cool process we got to go through with everybody. And all those are certified. A lot of work, but Priya got them race accredited, which means that first responders can get credit if they need CE, but also veterinarians and veterinary technicians can get their continuing education if they take those courses too. The other piece of this was purchase of essential equipment, right? So we have 2 hospitals, I'll show you in a second, but we needed some more equipment. You need more cage banks. If you're going to deal with a large sort of mass animal casualty spill, you need isolation spaces, you need post-wash spaces. So DEP was incredibly helpful in helping us build up our containment capabilities, and also things like, they're like, well, what are they called, bear huggers? They're like giant hair dryers for birds after they've been washed so they can thermoregulate. And then the other big one for us was field response kits. And so in talking to a lot of people that have done this, in our experience, we sort of built out these kits that made sense to us. They worked really well in the few instances we've had to use them. And actually, just this year, U.S. Fish and Wildlife actually reached out and asked if we could share share the content to the kids. I think we have 35 or 40 now, thanks to DEP, built, ready to go. Some are distributed between our 2 hospitals. I think we have a few out in the community now, but they're sort of packed and ready to go. If there was a spill, we could get them mobilized really, really quickly. And then the other piece of this is just maintaining and growing our staff certifications. So we have 6 veterinarians on staff, about 14 certified technicians. By the end of this year with the grant, we had them all OSHA certified, ICS trained, just so we're qualified and ready to respond where we need to. And then the last piece of it is we formed sort of this loose wildlife response working group. And just like Julie was saying, you know, here in Massachusetts, we have a pretty incredible network of people that know their area, that know their town, that know the bathymetry of the harbor, and they know what wildlife lives where, and you got to leverage that local knowledge. And we have the advantage of working with pretty much every town and city in the state at this point. And so we have really good working relationships with a lot of these first responders. And so by taking those relationships, putting these folks through the courses, we can sort of translate that network to be a little more oil spill specific. And that those are a lot of the first students we have, are the folks we see bringing us animals all the time. So we're hoping to keep growing this and do some more meetings as well. So for those of you who don't know us, I'll just go through this quickly. We have 2 hospitals, about 40,000 square feet. Our main hospital is in Weymouth, which serves like Metro Boston South, but we'll take anything up to the bridge pretty much, and then anything the rest of the state. And then our Cape branch, the Cape Wildlife Center, serves all of Barnstable County, and again, anywhere throughout the state if we need to. They're very different facilities, which ended up being good in the last Muddy River spill. Priya will talk about in a minute, because you have different containment, you didn't have different washing capabilities. You have space that say, you know, you can intake birds in Weymouth, triage them, and then get them where they need to go. And that's one of our big mantras dealing with any oil spill is the least number of car rides for any animal is a win, right? You don't want to have a big response where people come in and you have a bunch of different people taking birds and bringing them to different hospitals and stressing the birds out. You want to make it seamless, get the animals where they need to be quickly, get that objective completed, and then move them on to the next one until it's time for release. So this is us. We're super coastal, mostly down the south. And so this open invitation, anybody who'd like to come visit, we'd love to have you. And just some background, we treat 220 animals. So we're not all marine or anything like that. Anything you'd find wild living here in Massachusetts, if we're allowed to treat it, we absolutely will. But being coastal, we do get a lot of pelagic birds, seabirds, things like that. And here in Massachusetts, I don't know if you've seen the coyote populations, fox, and that raccoon populations that live on the beach, they're certainly not excluded from the threat of a oil spill either, just because they are foraging down there, and it certainly does happen. All right, so at this point, why don't I turn it over to Priya? She can walk you through a little bit of the course.
Perfect. So our first training was online, and this was part of the course we had developed back in the 2021 grant that we were awarded. And so we did that first to collect more people engagement with the overall topics of, you know, oil spill in general, what's the procedure for capturing and transporting animals safely to keep the person safe as well as the animal safe. And then the whole process of rehabilitation from intake to release, which is a really complicated process that people don't actually realize what the animal goes through. So we go through all of that. And then as an addition to this year's grant, we added a hands-on washing lab because just as, you know, intensive as you are in the field, working around the oil, just washing these animals too, there's a lot of hazards you have to consider, the animal's health, your health, and you know, this is a very intensive process that we'll show you in just a second. So we were able to share that with a lot of organizations. We had many agencies join us for both the online and the in-person labs, which was great. We grew our network. A lot of U.S. Fish and Wildlife, oil spill region agents were able to join us. And like Zach said, they were really impressed with the field kits that we had put together. So they asked us for the list of those so they could get them ready in case they needed them in the future, which was awesome to see. Down here is a picture from one of our in-person labs here. And so we start the lab off with sort of putting out a scenario of what oil was spilled, what type of animals were involved, and our stabilization process. So I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes it takes a week or over a week for an animal that's come in oil to be able to be washed. They have to be stabilized through that whole time. And if we wash them too soon, it's such an intensive process, they could potentially die through it. So there's a lot of stabilization that goes on. During that process, we sort of have to figure out how we're going to wash these birds and in what concentration of soap we use Dawn. And so we pluck feathers on intake and we use those feathers in what's called a feather test. And so here we are in the lab, we have cadaver oiled birds that we're using. We also had to wash an actual oiled pigeon that day too. So we were able to use a live bird for this training. And so we tried different concentrations of Dawn and see which will restore the feather back to its most natural property. And I'm trying to condense a 5-hour course in 5 minutes, but basically the feather structure is really important for a bird to keep them waterproofed, to help them thermoregulate, and the oil disrupts that. And so down on the bottom left here, it's a microscopic image of a feather, and it's just how tightly interwoven those feather particles are. And so what our goal is after we wash the bird is to get it back to that state, because an oiled feather will have gaps and holes, and water will just wick straight through all of those feathers down to the bird and chill them and get them hypothermic really quickly. So here the students are trying different concentrations. They wash the feathers and then rinse the feathers and then see what combination gets the feather back to its normal morphology. Then once we've chosen our concentrations, we set up a full wash, and it's very complicated. You have to have water that's at least 104 degrees temperature Fahrenheit, which seems really hot, but that's actually the body temperature of a bird, so it's okay. And then our proper concentrations of Dawn, and we're washing them in different bins. And so the students got to participate in this. And during this whole time, we're monitoring the vitals of the bird. We actually intranasally sedate them with some sedatives to calm them out. We would love to anesthetize these birds so they don't know what's happening, but unfortunately that drops their core body temperature too quickly, so we can't wash them while they're completely asleep. But we've come up with different combinations of sedations to just chill them out a little bit. But we monitor their heart rate, their breathing throughout the entire process, keeping their head above the water, keeping their eyes covered to keep them calm. We go through all of these techniques with the students. And then the rinsing phase is almost just as important as the washing phase. We use high pressure power to realign all the feather particles to sort of hook up together. And so the students get practice doing this, and each bird takes about anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour to wash each bird. So when we were doing the Muddy River oil spill, we had 50 birds to wash. And so that was a lot. Your staff gets fatigued really quickly. This is why we're doing this training, so we can call on all the first responders, students, rehabbers, vets to help build our team so that we can get 10 washing stations going at once and so on. And then in the end, all the students got to check their feathers to see how well the wash came out. And if not for receiving this grant, we would not have been able to respond to the Muddy River oil spill this past year as quickly and efficiently, having all of the field kits, the PPE, our staff trained, ready to go. We got the call the night of our Christmas party, and we said, I'll take my lasagna out of the oven and let's go. And we just all went and responded. Let's see if these videos plays. Oh, there's no sound, is there? Well, if you follow us on Instagram, you can listen to the sound, but this is our response for the Muddy River oil spill, which was a heating oil, so very caustic. The animals were coming in with burns, not only to their skin, their eyes, so it involved a lot of stabilization, antibiotics. So here we have the left feather, the oiled feather and the clean feather, and just some of our washing. This was actually the release of them. So we were able to safely capture around just over 50 oiled Canada geese and mallards, and we released 45, which is a really great number to do with such a caustic oil. And that's because we were able to capture them within 5 days. We washed them within another 5 days. And then in the course, we'll find out more about the rehabilitation process, but we released them a month later, a little over a month
40
later.
days.
Yeah. Back where they were.
So happy.
They were very happy.
They were so happy. And it was just a great release. We had all the interdepartment agencies present who helped us throughout the process. And it was just a great team effort. And then this is all our geese there. And so this was just how we were set up, 3 washing tables every day for 5 days straight. In addition, we have to always consider emerging infectious diseases, especially with bird flu. And so we did get all these birds tested before the wash. Zach had mentioned a cooking oil spill that we had to deal with 50 oiled gulls. Those ended up being all positive for bird flu. And so we had to wear full PPE during the whole process. So there's always those veterinary diseases we have to sort of consider and account for. And so, as Zach was saying, just having the 2 hospitals to be able to isolate the patients in one and then transport like the negative ones to keep them separate is just really important.
So I just want to close by saying our plan is to keep offering these trainings. If there's anyone who's interested in either even just seeing how the process works or would like to go through it, we'd love to have you. We're also working on a capital campaign right now. We're a little over 60% of the way through to build a designated disaster response facility at our Cape Hospital, mostly geared toward oil spill recovery. So it'll have better containment tanks, increased capabilities. And so I guess the point is we're looking forward to growing this program. It's something we'd love to do. We'd love to work with all of you, and certainly invite anyone that's interested to be involved, helping us. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. It was fun because when Zach approached Steve and I, we went down to the center on the Cape and we were all kind of like, wow, what is this? You know, this was like totally unknown, but it's a whole nother part to this entire topic of oil spills and treatment and a whole nother level of cleanup and work. And it's been fantastic. When DEP staff has their hazmat training and all for ER and all, and it was fun because Northeast region presented the Muddy River to all of us as a response that they had. And I didn't have a lot of knowledge of it. And it was really, I mean, I'm going to send you guys some video that they had some great visuals and stuff of just the extent and the night, the dark time, the number of the birds, just all the challenges. And it's just a whole nother layer to that kind of response. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming. And yeah, John MacPherson, Army Corps of Engineers. Everyone here knows the Cape Cod Canal. We've all been over it. We've all been through it, whatever. But it's a mystery, and it has changed so much in the sense of what is coming in it, what is going through it, the challenges that it faces. And I was so excited when I asked John if he could present today, and he said yes. So I'm really excited to hear and learn what he has to say and what the challenges are and how we can keep going. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
Good morning. So it's more of a summary I'll give you. The Cape Cod Canal is a federal navigation project, civil works project. It was originally a private endeavor to make money on tolls. The Army Corps of Engineers purchased it in the 20s and put a lot of money into it, changed it over time. That shows the primary purpose is safe movement of vessels through the waterway. The graphic shows, the red line on the graphic shows the route of the Atlantic Intracoastal Waterway. It's not just a shorter route for vessels, it's just a much more protected route than having to go around the Nantucket Shoals and be exposed to the offshore sea conditions, much harsher environment going around the Nantucket Shoals. So it saves miles of travel for vessels, but it's just a much more protected route, which makes it so vital. Some of the statistics, some of the dimensions of the canal were authorized at 32 feet mean lower low water. It's generally self-scouring. We have to dredge the channel, a few spot shoals, maybe every 5 to 10 years or so. 7,000 large commercial vessels a year, 10,000 plus. So the project extends out into Cape Cod Bay down to Cleveland Ledge Light in Buzzards Bay. We maintain 3 bridges across the waterway, 2 highway bridges, the Bourne and Sagamore, and 1 railroad bridge, the Buzzards Bay Vertical Lift Railroad Bridge. We maintain anchorages on both in Buzzards Bay. We have mooring basins. We have a bulkhead on the east end. Just a view of the east and west ends of the canal. It was originally, as I said, it was a private endeavor. In the 20s and 30s, the Army Corps of Engineers deepened it, widened it, straightened it, and replaced all the bridges. The bridges that are there today are the bridges from the 1930s. There's lots of headline news about the bridge replacement. As far as we know, the Sagamore Bridge funding is in hand for it to be replaced, and it's a big program that's ongoing now.
What's the new height? Are they looking for? About 136?
Yeah, we're adding a certain amount for climate, for sea level rise. Yeah. I don't know the exact height. We can find that out, but it's currently we're at 135 feet air draft clearance. The new highway bridges will have some additional height to them, but the railroad bridge is not scheduled to be changed. So it's still going to be a restriction at the 135. It will. Yep. So just some pictures of the general vessel types that use the canal. It's a little bit of everything. There's large, small. I thought this was a good graphic. It just shows the activity on the East Coast. That last sentence, in any given time, there's 4,500 movements of major vessels off the East Coast. So you can see the canal is up. We are the last leg of the Atlantic Intracoastal that gets vessels from Buzzards Bay into Cape Cod Bay and up to Boston. So modern technology of AIS. This is a graphic that just shows a typical route of one of our, what we call the frequent flyers. That's a car carrier, one of the car carriers that goes through pretty often. You can see cars come over from across the Atlantic. They generally come into points south and head up the East Coast into Narragansett Bay and eventually through the canal into Boston. From Boston, there's a lot of cars that end up getting put on rail transportation and are distributed to points further west from Massachusetts. Again, a typical route of one of our typical tug and barge units transporting petroleum products. You can see there's a lot of activity in New York City, even up the Hudson River, and then following in Long Island Sound, across Narragansett Bay, into Buzzards Bay and up into Boston and points north. So there's 2 transported through the Cape Cod Canal each year is 2 billion gallons plus or minus of petroleum products. There's a list there of some of them. This shows a kind of a more breakdown between the what type of petroleum products. The largest, you can see gasoline, jet fuel, number 2 in diesel. So we have an integrated marine traffic control system, just like air traffic controllers control the skies. Our marine traffic controllers control vessel traffic in the canal. We're on duty 24/365. Comprehensive monitoring system. We have 6 different remote radar and sensor sites that provide data to the Marine Traffic Control Center. We have a custom hardware and software system that takes all the sensor data and presents it for our controllers to try to give them as complete a picture of what's happening at the project as we can give them. Cameras, radios, communication equipment. The task is really safely integrating small vessels with the large vessel traffic in our narrow waterway. Vessels under 65 feet in length do not have to check in with our controllers to request permission to transit. They can just come into the canal project. The controller's job is to plan the large vessel transits. Typically, it's 2-way traffic in the canal. Some units would require 1-way traffic for different reasons. That last bullet there, coordinate railroad bridge span movements, is an important thing that I'll expand on. So when the railroad bridge is up, and that's its normal position, we have 135 feet of air draft clearance for vessels. When a train calls for the bridge and we lower it, there is only 7 feet of air draft clearance underneath the vertical movable span. So essentially the canal is closed at that point to all vessel traffic when we drop the bridge. So it's important that we only drop the bridge when it's safe to do so. Our marine traffic controllers are tasked with ensuring the channel is clear, it's safe to drop the bridge, and then communicate that to our bridge operators who lower the bridge. It's part of the, so we're very careful when we drop the bridge. We can't have any large vessel traffic approaching the span until we have the bridge up. So some of the, just a couple pictures of some of the tools that our marine traffic control system has, radar, AIS, cameras. As I mentioned, we have 6 different sensor sites spaced out along the canal. Typically, we have radar, environmental sensors, and cameras at those 6 locations to give us a good picture of what's happening. AIS has been a great addition to the project. We originally had just a local AIS antenna receiver, but we partnered with the Department of Transportation, and we have a AIS feed from the Department of Transportation that gives us really good coverage. Their feed incorporates AIS receivers from a lot of different places, gives us all that AIS data, so we can see from up into Maine down to New Jersey with our current system of AIS. It's been a good addition. Just lets our controllers see a lot further away as to what might be coming down from in Cape Cod Bay and across, entering Buzzards Bay to be able to plan routes a little bit further in advance. So what we try to do is we try to use the power of information to give captains on vessels as much information as we can. Anything out of the ordinary with buoys, construction ongoing, who they expect to see in the in the channel, passing them. All these things here are things that our controllers will pass on to vessels if they have questions, and when they're coming in. Again, that's just says what what we're trying to do. We try to monitor and control the large vessels to prevent any accidents and associated damage. So we also operate a VMRS, Vessel Movement and Reporting System, on behalf of the Coast Guard. It made a lot of sense for, and this was something that came out of the B-120 spill, I believe, originally, that it had to be, this was something that the Coast Guard, and I think the state really supported setting up this vessel movement and reporting system. It made a lot of sense for the Army Corps of Engineers to take on this work and perform it on behalf of the Coast Guard because of our the staff we have, the infrastructure in terms of towers, radar sites, our people, hardware and software already in place to monitor the Cape Cod Canal. It allowed us to take on additional work beyond the southern limit of our project is Cleveland Ledge Light there. Within our project limits, our marine traffic controllers control traffic. In the VMRS area, that's a better picture of the VMRS area of Buzzards Bay, from the beginning to there to Cleveland Ledge Light. We monitor vessels in this area, and we monitor them, and there's requirements for vessels to check in at certain reporting points. There's active and passive users, depending on the size of the vessel and what they're engaged in. But it's someone's, it's an additional entity that's watching the marine traffic. If we see anything amiss, we have the ability to communicate with vessels, ask them what's going on. We can't direct vessel. We don't have authority to direct vessels or control them in this area. But if we see something amiss, we can contact the Coast Guard, and the Coast Guard certainly has the authority to control the situation. We have patrol boats. So our marine traffic controllers can dispatch patrol boats. Our patrol boats, we have two 38-foot metal sharks, and we have two 25-foot safe boats, plus some work skiffs. These boats have our marine operators on them. They can be dispatched to investigate what's happening on a vessel, to establish communications if they won't answer the radio, remove debris, inspect our bridge piers, bulkheads. They do a little bit of everything for us. Enforce canal regulations. There's really good fishing in the Cape Cod Canal. Spring, summer, and fall. And although there's no fishing from boats allowed in the canal, there is, boats do fish on the edges of the channel, and our patrol boats get used quite a bit for vessel assists, but also to escort large units through in the summer when there's a lot of congestion. It's a lot of educating the small boat operators on the rules of the road in a confined channel, and clearing them out of the way to avoid any accidents. Well, I was trying to be brief.
I can't believe we're like running ahead of time. John, has the traffic, the amount of traffic increased over? I mean, you just seem, I don't know if we're more aware of it, because you see things online, you see it everywhere. Is there more traffic?
No, I think some of the, some of the tug and barge units have gotten larger, which has resulted in slightly less, less transits. Our numbers for the small boats, small recreational boats are estimates. We don't count every single one. There's a lot of people on the water, just an estimate. As far as large transits, I know, Steve's data showed the pandemic caused a lot of the demand for the petroleum products to go down, so that some of our transits in the canal were down for a few years. But overall it's down, but it's still it's an important waterway.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mhm.
And I love numbers like 2 billion gallons. Can we think of billions, please? No. And people talking barrels. Some of us still talk gallons. There's 50 gallons in a barrel. So, these numbers are just, my brain's going to be fried by the end of the day. Thank you. Basically, I don't know how many people go to meetings that run ahead of time. I think that, obviously contact information for everyone that we heard from today, for everybody to take down and save, and make sure that anyone contacts any of us with any questions, comments, improvements, ideas, thoughts. I mean, there is so much information in the variety of topics and successes that we've had in this program, because of everyone in this room and online and involved with us in so many different ways. It's very rewarding. It's very, it's just very energizing, because it's good, necessary stuff. The team that we have developed with Nuka Research and Planning and Moraine Environmental and all of our, the other OSROs, Woods Hole Group, everybody else, I'm not going to be able to, I don't want to feel like I'm leaving anyone out, has really been, fantastic. That the buy-in and the commitment to the efforts and the goals and the challenges is really pure, I think, for all of us involved. The continued interest by the towns and the communities for the exercises and the trainings, the buyout for the grants, just the acceptance of everything that we have to offer, our partnerships with the Coast Guard. And of course, we deal with two different sectors. We're a little tiny state, and we have sectors, we have so many people, and you guys change out too often. Some of us don't go anywhere for a long time, but then the Coast Guard shows up and they all have different names. And, I still don't know what colors what mean. Call everybody, fire chief, just call everybody chief. But it's really fun when, I show up at something after, Millie was saying DEP's been, turned 50, and I've been with DEP over 30. So, and it was funny. I was talking to someone about the Bouchard B-120 happening back in, 2002. And the person I'm speaking to said, "Oh, I wasn't born yet." And I'm like, oh my God, I've become that person. I've become that old person talking about old stuff. I don't quite feel there yet, but that's, it's amazing. But there are luckily still a few of us that were around then, do know it, did step in it, and have really, enjoyed all that we've been able to do and continue to do. I have to, just thank everybody. Anybody comments, takeaways, The trailer is outside. I'd like everyone to take a look at it, one of our 83 trailers. And, those challenges, Plymouth was great to bring it by and have it for a little show and tell. But I think we're done.
One thing I did want to just mention for everybody is the recording of the meeting will be posted on the website. So if you ever want to refer back to any of the presentations today, especially from Canal or wildlife, certainly the contact.
Yep.
That'll all be up there on the website. Might take a few days, but it'll be there. But don't hesitate to reach out to
Good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.